Hello and welcome to the first game here in day 17 of Season 8 of StarLadder Star Series. We're gonna see 6 games in total today, and this is our first one, an hour before our regular starting time, but NEXT.kz and VirtusPro, they had the time, and we'll see these two teams later on again. Both of these teams actually will face Na'Vi after this match, so we'll see how they do up against each other. First, I'm not by myself, I'm once again joined by Mod. Welcome back.
Hello, thank you for having me once again here. NEXT.kz versus VirtusPro. Really excited to see what they can offer this time around. Obviously, NEXT.kz has been doing extraordinarily well in StarLadder thus far this season. They've got a couple of tough matchups here, like you already mentioned, against VirtusPro as well, a very strong team. They have the standards Illidan and Jotum right now. They're also just a strong group of players. They're going to pick up the Alchemist, the Crystal Maiden, two very strong supports. At least I imagine they'll play Alchemist as support. That's usually where he's put now. Doom on the other side with NEXT.kz picking up another hero here. And the Bristleback band, which is very interesting to me because that hero I consider good, but I consider it more of a tier 2 pick now. So we'll see what they want to saw. Another strong hero to start out for NEXT.kz, and already the draft looking pretty strong for both teams here.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm quite surprised for NEXT.kz to go for the Doom as their first pick. Like, maybe second pick if you're afraid that it's indeed going to get banned out, but first pick, picking it over an Alchemist, it has got such a dominating role in the games lately, that Alchemist. It's interesting to me. I wonder if it's the right choice. Before we look further on the games, we are just going to quickly take a look at the scores, because both of these two teams are doing really well in this season. NEXT.kz especially, since they have got the #1 position, and they've had it for a while. They've got even one less game played than Alliance, and still have one more win than Alliance. So they're sitting on 10 games played, 9 wins, 1 loss rather, because it's singular, and it's 17 games in total, so they're looking good to end very high here in this season of StarLadder, and perhaps therefore also have a chance to make it to the playoffs in Kiev, where only the top 4 go to. VirtusPro, they have played 11 games, 7 wins, 4 losses. Not doing bad by any stretch, not as good as NEXT.kz though, but looking in shape, can't afford to lose that many more games if they still want to make it to the playoffs, depending on, of course, how many losses those top 4 together have, which is normally, on average, based on previous seasons, not more than 4, so we'll see if they can keep that number from growing. And this draft is, by the way, very fast. We have VirtusPro not using any bonus times whatsoever, and actually VirtusPro banning out the Razor, already picking up the OD themselves. And Viper already banned out by NEXT.kz. I wonder what NEXT.kz is going to pick up against the OD in this case.
Well, they can go for a Kunkka in that scenario, Lone Druid as well, but I don't expect to see NEXT.kz go for Lone Druid. I think they'd rather go for something like a Kunkka, but maybe I'm wrong. I think I have seen them play the Lone Druid before, but still, they might not even go for something that counters the OD, and it's a tough hero to play against, but if you gank him early on enough, you can stop him from being effective throughout the early stages of the game, because he does take some time to get online. He is that semi-carry. He's not something that has a huge effect at level 6. You got to get him a couple more levels, like of course level 9, 10, or 11, get him some Arcane Orb levels, and start doing work there. They go for the Enchantress, which is a hero that can effectively gank the OD, even on her own. I do like that pickup. VirtusPro, however, has a great roaming duo of their own with the Alchemist and the Crystal Maiden. That is, two heroes that can absolutely go to town on a mid hero, which in this case could be a Timbersaw or something else. If it's a Timbersaw, he might not have the best time up against the OD, because he does require a bit of mana to last it effectively and to harass. So we'll see what they want to do with their last couple of picks here. VirtusPro has a fantastic draft, and you mentioned Doom being picked up first. I don't really like this in this scenario. It probably wouldn't have been banned, but NEXT.kz really does value that pick highly, apparently. Against an OD, it could be good too, so we'll see what their next pick really lies. And of course, the 1 minute and 44-second time. Now VirtusPro gets into the reserve time here finally, but still, what a good draft for them already.
Yeah, I think they're going to be very happy with the heroes that they have. NEXT.kz, I mean, that Doom, of course, there is different scenarios for NEXT.kz as well. I mean, on VirtusPro, you can have the Alchemist that can be on different lanes. OD can actually be on different lanes as well. For NEXT.kz, now with that Enchantress pickup, they're kind of locking themselves in, because that Enchantress is going to be in the jungle. And even though she might be able to share her jungle, it's not going to be as effective as her alone in the jungle. That means that Doom is kind of forced to be either on the safe lane or a mid, or like on a lane regardless. And normally Doom, I like him on the safe lane if you are running an aggressive tri lane. That's where I'm happy that you have a Doom, because he'll get good farm, he'll get ahead, and he'll be a very, very scary force later on in the game. But Doom on the off lane lately has not been my favorite. He can get, of course, solid farm with his Devour, which is the reason that he can run that off lane. But it's still quite interesting to see NEXT.kz go for something like this. On the other side, do you think that Doom could actually be up against an OD in terms of mid lane? I don't think so. Like that's going to be even worse than the Timber saw.
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't have any mana to do anything. He wouldn't be able to Devour, probably, or he wouldn't be able to use his Scorched Earth or what have you. So, you know, I don't know if he will do that. So, yeah, I don't think so. I think that they wouldn't put him against mid. It would be nice to get him a quick level 6, but he could do that by being in a safe lane farming or being in the jungle for that, you know, that purpose. But Wind Ranger's going to come out from VirtusPro right now. So they have their alt lane, they have their mid lane, they've got their 2 supports, theoretically, unless they want this Alchemist to carry, which I don't see that happening. They pick up the Rubik for NEXT.kz. It's a good hero up against CM and Alchemist, not necessarily against the OD, because you do need that intelligence to be super useful against the Wind Ranger to have Shackle Shot. He's just a good hero to have. He's got the great Disable and Telekinesis, Fade Bolt's a good ability as well. You can also do some work in terms of Null Field, giving you, of course, that magic resistance. But for right now, I do prefer VirtusPro's draft, just because they have the CM Alchemist and OD. Those are that's a great 3 starting heroes right there for their team. So
yeah, with great synergy as well. I mean, later on in the game, that Astral Imprisonment can delay the enemy hero to get stunned by the Alchemist, so getting that extra duration up on the Unstable Concoction. And that brings me to the next point, because regardless if Wind Ranger is support or Alchemist is going to be support or Wind Ranger offline, it can all still happen. It's very versatile. I like that a lot about a draft as well. But they've got 3 disables in a Shackle, Frostbite, as well as the Unstable Concoction. And I mean, I'm not even talking about the Astral Imprisonment, because I don't really think that's a real disable. But for NEXT.kz, they only have Rubik and anything he steals, unless Doom eats himself a Centaur, or Enchanters get ourselves a Centaur or Troll Creep. It's just not as versatile as VirtusPro can be. I'm kind of worried for them. That they have to have a plan. And to be honest, if you pick up a Doom as first pick, I'm going to assume that they have a plan.
they should. I mean, with Doom first pick, I don't know why you'd pick it unless you're like, oh, they're going to pick a Weaver, they're going to pick something that Weaves Silence, like a Timbersaw, which they picked up for themselves. So they must have a plan with this, or they must be very comfortable with that hero in general. The Luna comes out for VirtusPro, and they've got everything really going for them. I mean, they've got a strong carry, they've got strong support, strong mid laner. VirtusPro's draft is looking absolutely fantastic. This is a draft we've seen time and time again, but Crystal Main's been strong recently. Alchemist is considered Imba in certain circumstances, so VirtusPro's draft is extraordinary. NEXT.kz's draft is not quite there, and this is going to be a tough game for them, honestly. And with 9-1, you think that they could play up to to snuff and be able to take this game, but they're already kind of behind a little bit, unless they get a crazy 5th pick here that no one saw coming and really shapes the game. But for now, I mean, they've got 1 minute and 30 seconds left on reserve time. They've got plenty of time to think about this. They don't need an extra support. They need a mid or an off laner, because their Doom is probably going to be farming. He's not going to be jungling. Like you said, they'd be sharing the jungle with Enchantress. I just don't see that happening. So NEXT.kz's draft is really just... They go for a Gyrocopter, and that's really underwhelming to me, I feel like.
Oh, it was actually the one that I was going to suggest perhaps to be picked up. Although I was also going to discard that choice right after I brought it up, I think. Because, I mean, now that means that there's a Timbersaw mid. I thought Gyrocopter, and then I figured, yeah, but perhaps it's better to have a mid hero that can transition into a carry. Like the Shadow Fiend that VirtusPro banned out. But we'll see how NEXT.kz thinks they can take down VirtusPro with this lineup. And to be honest, I mean, as you said, they are 9-1, so, something is working for them, and maybe they can get the synergy over VirtusPro, because that is the thing that VirtusPro, in the games that they have lost, the thing that was the case there, and I mean, it was clear as day for all the games that they lost. They lacked the synergy that you would expect from a team as VirtusPro. While NEXT.kz, they have got that synergy. They might not be as star-struck as VirtusPro, star-struck, star-heavy. How do you say that? Having a lot of...
Yeah, star is fine.
Yeah, because, I mean, VirtusPro, they've got Arsart, they've got Illidan, they've got Light of Heaven, they've got G, all these names, all these players are very, very known. Well, NEXT.kz, I mean, of course, people should know them, but I think a lot less people know them than they know VirtusPro players. The thing that they do have, however, is that synergy, is that teamwork, and that's something that VirtusPro is still kind of lacking at times. They're growing into it, though. They're doing better than they did at the start of the season already.
Well, you're right. I mean, you look at NEXT.kz, they've been around forever. They should have that synergy, and they should be able to play against really strong teams. The thing is, though, they're getting off to a tough start here against, they've got to deal with VirtusPro in this game, and then obviously Navi next. So, they want to get off to a good start this morning, or this evening, I guess, for them. And really, this is not the draft to do it, I feel like. Obviously, they can prove me wrong by having an effective early game and an effective, just early win, but this is going to be tough, I feel like. And they're going to try to roam down here as 5 men and just look for either some sort of engagement to ward, which is probably going to be the case. You see, Equal has the wards up on the Enchantress right now, and we'll see if they find anybody out and try to get a kill here.
Yeah, they are quite taking over the jungle. They have been scouted out, of course. That's why we see the rest of VirtusPro being so careful around here. Nice ward placement. It does mean that they are looking to be kind of aggressive here. Let's take a look at who is playing what and also then who is going where. It will be for NEXT.kz. They will be on the dire side, as you probably already noticed. We have Wadafaka playing the Timber Saw. Picked himself up the Whirling Death first, and he'll be on the mid lane, taking on the presumably OD. Then we're going to see Reeves. He's going to the safe lane solo, so that's going to be something that I'm happy about, because that's something that Doom kind of needs. If he doesn't have a jungle to himself, which can work out, then having a solo safe lane is the next best thing in my opinion. And that means that we are going to have a bit of a semi-aggressive tri lane with an Enchantress there in the Radiant jungle. I say semi-aggressive because she might not be there all the time, but Equal playing that Enchantress. Amazing will take on the Rubik. We'll be helping out Mantis, who's taking on the farm on the Gyrocopter right here. And if they get the farm going on either the Doom or the Gyrocopter, I think they're going to be in a very good shape. And they only need to have one doing really well of the two.
You're absolutely right, but on the side of VirtusPro, we're going to see the stand-in Illidan down on the bottom lane on the Luna. With him in this tri-lane is going to be Jadam. That'll be the Alchemist, the support Alchemist. Our start will be on the Crystal Maiden down here as well. In the mid lane, you can see we'll have God up on the Outworld Devourer, and in the top lane, Light of Heaven will be on the Wind Ranger. Oh my god, Light of Heaven Shackles. Yes, excellent. I'm so excited for this.
Well, sometimes it might be seeming overhyped, to be honest. I mean, we've seen Light of Heaven play the Wind Ranger before. And I kind of, it was underwhelming. So we'll see if he can, do his name justice this time. And we'll also see if Equal can get some ganks going. He did pick up a Wildwing Ripper, which is probably not the best creep to go for an actual gank. But it's a very great creep to just disrupt this mid lane for G. And that also means that Equal can just continue farming if he wants to, while helping out his middle lane. That's going to be a great help to Wadafaka. I think also for Equal, as they're going for this, or at least Equal is. But if Equal can get himself something like a Harpy Stormcrafter, which is not there, but if he can get that something like that, then that will be the biggest help that Wadafaka can get here in this middle lane.
Yeah, and I like this. They don't necessarily need to go for the kill. They just want to push him out of lane, make him use his regen. He's only got one tango left, and he's getting some last hits, but it's always nice to be effective. Give rune control to Wadafaka and make sure he's got enough regen to be effective as well, even though he is getting astral a couple times. Up at the top lane, Light of Heaven's taking some right click, but so is Reeves. They're trading effectively. Scorchdrift is going to regen for Reeves right now, and Windrun is going to go. He's going to try to just get back out of the lane and make sure that he doesn't take too much damage. He'll have to regen if necessary. Down bottom, there were a lot of denies going earlier on in the game. Mantis is sitting at, let's see, 3 last hits, so not the best, whereas you look at what Illidan has, he's got 10. He's doing very well in this lane, despite them trying to be effective and harassing. Though Equal was roaming mid and he was harassing, so they didn't have that, tri-lane presence there, and they still won't. They're going to throw up the smoke on Enchantress. If she's looking for a gank, she can use that, but she might head back into her own jungle just to farm right now, and I think it's going to be going to dual lanes, or at least pseudo-dual lanes for NEXT.kz for the time being.
Yeah, so far VirtusPro is indeed getting the better of the laning stage. Even Wind Ranger is ahead compared to Reeves here on his Doom on the top lane. And Light of Heaven just having a good time. He's almost got his face boots ready, and it's only going to get easier for last hitting for him. That's kind of troublesome for NEXT.kz, because, I mean, I just mentioned, as we do have a smoke up, Arsart and Jadam coming in. Let's see if they can find something. Mantis and Amazing playing very careful. Did they actually see the initial smoke up? I don't know where they did it, but it might have been under the
I think you're right. I think you're right. They must have done it near this observer ward, because you can see Mantis is back at the tower.
Yeah.
Amazing blocked the creep wave a little bit, and then he backs off too. So they saw that happening. I don't think there were any pings coming out, but they knew that was there. So that's just a smart observer ward placement, and that's unfortunately VirtusPro being a little too not so much careful. If they did it under the 2-2 tower, that would have been something that really could have been a good gank for them. But that gank under their observer ward is really not going to be super effective.
No, not at all. Does mean that, Mantis has stopped with farming for a bit, but I guess he didn't get anything or that much beforehand anyways. We do have another rotation from the Enchantress. She did indeed go to her own jungle to pick up 2 creeps. Got herself a smoke up. The Centaur and the Satire, that's a pretty decent combination. You've got the extra disable. You've got the telekinesis into Centaur Stomp. They find themselves Arsart. This could be your first blood. The Centaur Stomp comes out. This is first blood. Equal takes it home. Successful gank coming out as Jodam just comes around just to land himself a stun, but hides himself behind the tier 1 tower straight after. Kind of outnumbered.
Yeah, that was an amazing gank. For Equal to go back home, farm up a little bit, grab some creeps, and then roam down for first blood is huge. They did not expect that to happen. They had to smoke up. The ward doesn't really give them vision of them coming through that little staircase area on the river, and they're just sitting there. You know, Arsar's just sitting there, and unfortunately they get caught out. Telekinesis, like you said, into Centaur Stun. It's too easy to land, and so just like that, they grab first blood. It's a nice pickup for them, especially since they were behind a little bit in the laning stage, because if they're not getting the last hits, Equal is getting caught out a little bit, but Arsart is also maybe not in the best position. But,
there's a Centaur coming in. He's gonna make sure that
wow.
Jodam stuns himself. And now Enchantress with her Nature's Attendant. She also got 1 level in that Untouchable, which will help out. Illidan actually coming around. They want to really take down this Enchantress, and her Nature's Attendants are already gone. She will get picked up. Nice pickup for VirtusPro. I'm really punishing that Enchantress for just being too aggressive there in that Radiant jungle.
Yeah, she was really out of position, unfortunately. I think she was trying to jump from the high ground using the, or just grabbing the Ursa or Hellbear Smasher, excuse me. So that's just not the best place for her. If she really wanted that creep, she could roam around on the other side and grab it. But yeah, Arsart is able to find her. She almost makes a good play with the Centaur Con, obviously stunning up the Alchemist, but it doesn't matter. So not only is Illidan getting good farm, he's also participating in getting kills. He got that last one, obviously. He's sitting at 2,000 gold in the bank, so if he really wants to go for Midas, he can. He can go for some other sort of item that actually will help him early on in the game, but considering the way the 6.79 meta has went, yeah, Midas is pretty much your standard pickup here for a Luna. So nice pickup there.
Interesting that he doesn't just already has the recipe and then goes to the side shop to complete it, because this is a longer way. But, I mean, maybe he just didn't feel safe enough to go for that, if he didn't know that he was going to be able to actually move up to the side shop. That could be something. In the meantime, it is Light of Heaven that is actually forced back home. He realizes that when that Doom hits level 6, which he just did, well, then you kind of have to be careful, because that Doom, and this time I mean the spell, that could actually kill off Light of Heaven, and he knows it. He is sitting on 1k gold, level 6 for himself as well. From this point onward, Reef is going to have a lot easier time here. He actually picked himself up the Speed Aura, which is a pretty neat creep to steal. He's just, if something happens, he can either run away real fast because he also got those phase boots, or he can just make sure that we have got ourselves a kill going the way of the Doom, because he is so fast with chasing, and even Windrun is not going to help out. In the meantime, mid lane, Sun being charged up, Jodam goes for it, the S1 Imprisonment to set it up, but Equal and Amazing are both here. What a fucker! Only level 1 Timber Chain, he might actually go down! Tenancy said Calypso will help out. The Doom still up on the Crystal Maiden, who will get picked up. The Alchemist also dropping there, and if they get this G, then that will be a worthy trade for sure. The Gyrocopter still dies as well though, but that was on the bottom lane. That was the first Eclipse used from the Luna overall. It's a 3-for-2 trade, I guess. I mean, 2 supports for 2 cores over across the map. I would put actually the favor on still on side of VirtusPro.
Yeah, because, I mean, going down to the bottom lane, that Gyrocopter, that kill is huge. If he doesn't go down, that trade definitely goes the way of NEXT.kz, because they grab the, of course, Outworld Devourer. But, you know, getting a solo kill for your Luna on a farming hero is a pretty big deal. That's really not what you want to have happen. But still, Reeves gets a double kill, which is a huge deal as well for your Doom. That gets him a lot more farm. He's up to 1,000 gold right now, so that's another important thing to note, is that not only did they get kills in the mid lane, they got kills for Reeves, 2 of them in fact. So with that, we'll see what he wants to build next. I mean, he does pick up a bottle. I think he's actually had that for a while. His phase boots are done. He's got wand. He got a bracer. So now he's looking strong. Mantis is going to take top farm, realizing that bottom lane may not be the best place for him to farm now, and considering that Reeves can just go in the jungle, he can go in the mid lane, he can even go in the bottom lane if he needs to farm, and he'll be a little bit more effective in terms of surviving. So 3 to 4 at 8 minutes in, still a relatively close game, and I think the graphs should reflect that.
Yeah, slightly in favor of VirtusPro. They have got more farm overall in the jungle, which is, I mean, on the jungle I say, but I mean Light of Heaven, basically, not the jungle. Light of Heaven is just farming real well, better than the Gyrocopter was farming on that bottom lane, and that is the main difference here. On top of that, Doom is the only one that's doing really well for NEXT.kz. I mean, what a fucker. He of course, he kept himself up, and he's not doing that bad. He's still got 24 last hits, but we're 9 minutes into the game, and 24 is just not what you want to have entirely. And I mean, we knew that Timbersaw was not going to win it up against G. That was known. And it's just eminent that is indeed the case. And what a fucker. I mean, it's still a Timber Saw. He can still catch up with just a couple of fights. But I feel like he should be trying to do something else rather than just hanging around mid. And perhaps even, put Rubik mid. Because, well, maybe he will die actually. But he is still level 3. That is very painful. And he just needs somewhere to farm to get some levels up.
Well, he's doing that bottom lane right now. They did give him some room to get some experience here. And yeah, you're right. And Jotam's going to get doomed here, and Reeves is going to try to right-click him. He should survive. I don't think Reeves has enough damage, although Doom does take him down very low.
Though, yeah, with those phase moves.
Yeah, I think actually he will die.
Oh, the shockwave. Our server was going to look for the deny, but nope. Nice shockwave.
Yeah, so Reeves picks up a nice solo kill there for himself, which, gets him a little bit more farm as well. He'll roam down bottom middle, and we'll probably back off. Doesn't have to deal with that, even though there isn't a Doom available. Now the experience goes to Reeves, obviously. So, Amazing's doing a nice job of stacking, though. He is level 4 still, so level 6 is not going to come easily for him, and he's one of the few that's low. Then again, you look at Rstart as well as, of course, Jotam, and they're both level 4 as well, so he's actually not too far behind. So in terms of experience, you look at that, and NEXT.kz should be at least close to being ahead, if not ahead altogether. You can see there's actually like a 0 experience difference in the game so far. A lot of that, I think, also has to do with the way Light of Heaven's been playing in the offlane still.
Yeah.
The game is going to get into the later stages now, all the mid stages of the game. We're going to see some farmers. Timbersaw has a chance to catch up, which he really needs to, and, well, Illidan's farming effectively, so I don't know. This game could go either way at this point.
Yeah, that Enchantress in the enemy jungle definitely helped out slowing down the supports. In the meantime, Reeves is going to be the target here. Actually, the Eclipse goes out. Well, there's no way he's going to live out of that one. Nice Eclipse usage. I'm not sure if it was actually needed, the Eclipse itself, especially not with the Crystal Main coming in as well. But better safe than sorry, and Illidan gets himself another kill, well, an assist in this case, because the kill actually went to the Alchemist. But, it's nice that they get something, and in the meantime, there's also a rotation going middle. They want to try and get the OD, but G is just very safe here behind his tower, and it looks like the smoke gank with Equal and Amazing is either not gonna pay off, or they're gonna have to have a great deal of patience. Ooh, it's gonna pay off. Let's see. Telekinesis into, well, no disable actually. No other disable than that. So G is just gonna try to run. The chakra will slow him down. That might be enough. Impetus is coming out. That's gonna be the kill right there with the Fate Bolt helping out. But Timbersaw still with the last hit. They do lose their tier 1 bottom tower as Reeves actually finds himself dooming up the Alchemist once again, and he's actually chasing this down, knowing that Illidan might actually kill him in return. Does get the kill for it, which is great. Now has to just run. He has got those puddle charges still, and actually his teammates are gonna come in, so he's gonna try to juke it around. He actually, I think that if he just went that way, he would have been able to stay alive. That's kind of awkward rotation. No, I didn't do that.
He's got fast move speed with his phase boots. He didn't have Scorched Earth, so she probably would have been able to catch up to him, though. So, yeah, he could have went around the other way, and his team would have probably been there to help him out and grab a kill on the Luna. But, that trade is not what you want. Jotam for your Doom, that's, because Luna does get the kill again, and her Midas is really starting to pick up and get an effect here, plus the kills that she's been getting. Luna's starting to get farmed. They pick up a kill, though, on G in the mid lane, which is great and all, but he's still getting some decent farm. He already has a Staff of Wizardry, so 4 Staff's not going to be too far behind. But the real thing that you're worried about is the net worth and just the discrepancy there, because Luna's sitting at 6,300. The next closest person's 4,000. And Luna's farming very effectively, and she will continue to farm very effectively, because guess what? Now she's going to get, the Moonglaives, which means a lot more creep waves a lot faster. So Illidan is feeling really good this game. NEXT.kz they're kind of running out of time here, and Gyrocopter's not really getting any farm himself, so yeah. It's tough.
And they're going up against a team that has 2 Hand of Midases, while NEXT.kz doesn't even have 1 at all. Because, also Light of Heaven went for, Light of Heaven went for a Hand of Midas, so he is gonna get ahead in terms of farm as well. And yeah, you're right, NEXT.kz, because they're not going for Midases, they're they kind of put a clock on this game for themselves. They are going to smoke up with Reeves. He has his Doom. He's got Equal behind him as well. But they're not going to be able to find anybody. And I think they actually smoked under the Observer Ward here. And yeah, with the drawings coming out from VirtusPro, they know that there's people there. Equal's going to be found out first. Jotam is going to go for him. Reeves, you better run. There's no saving this guy anymore. Nice, nice Untouchable still helping out with slowing at least. But at least Reeves didn't die. I guess it could have been worse for NEXT.kz. But that was just a bit, well, naive gank. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, naive is the correct term. They're like, we're going to get everybody here. There's not going to be anybody to really go for a counter initiation. We'll be fine. And then they run into the entire team. Like, well, we're dead. So, just like that, you know, VirtusPro is really starting to kick it into high gear. Like we talked about, items are starting to finish. You mentioned 2 Midases. You're absolutely right. I mean, this is 6.79, even with a change, you know. And Luna gets another solo kill again.
Yep, that's another eclipse for you. And that's the Timber Saw. I mean, that was a solo mid. There is only Reeves left that is just actually doing okay. He actually gets himself another kill on the Alchemist, using the Doom for that again. Maybe Mantis can help take down Arstar, but in comes a Shackle.
Oh my God.
Reeves, Rocket Barrage, Mantis, not going to be trying to help out anymore. Reeves actually will go down there with one more hit from the Crystal Maiden, actually. Frostbite helping out, of course. Tower as well. It's 8-8. And, I mean, the kill score is even. Fair enough. But it's such a big difference because on the side of NEXT.kz, there is no core that is doing really well. While on the side of VirtusPro, there is one core that is just completely wrecking things right now. As the gyrocopter goes down on the top still because G came in from behind with a double damage rune and actually picked Mantis up while he was still on his way back to base.
You could argue that there are 2 or 3 cores doing well for VirtusPro right now after the 15-minute mark because Wind Ranger, Light of Heaven's been doing a fantastic job. He got a really quick Midas. Also, G just getting a kill. He's starting to get involved now. And anytime Light of Heaven makes a great shackle shot, you know, that you're really supposed to make for a Wind Ranger, I don't care. It's Light of Heaven. I'm just going to be like, oh my God, every time he makes one. But at the same time, he is going for his mech, which he actually already has. So that's a really good timed mech for Light of Heaven right now, and I thought he would have gone for something like that. You know, you could have your Crystal Maiden or your Alchemist try to farm one, but it's just going to take too long, so I like the fact that he grabs it. He'll probably go for something like an Orchid next. He doesn't really need to go for another support item, I don't think. So mech is the smart choice here. Yeah, Force Staff also. Yeah, I forgot about the Force Staff, which, I mean, Force Staff is actually huge. He'll probably go for that next now that I think about it. Outworld Devourer has his finished up, so already he's starting to get, you know, involved. He's got 1 point of the Arcane Orb. This is really when Outworld Devourer starts going to town on heroes, is when he gets level 11. He's got level 2 Sanities, which he used to get a gank top, I think it was. And then, of course, Arcane Orb just to do some damage. So he'll be okay for the time being. But then you look at the side of NEXT.kz, and what do they have? Reeves is trying to go for a Shadow Blade. It's going to be kind of late. I don't know if Wadafaka has a whole lot. I don't know if Mantis has a whole lot. It looks like they don't. I mean, they're sitting on not really that much altogether, and Illidan is just continuing to farm like a monster with 96 last hits.
Yeah, it's starting to get to the point where NEXT.kz is going to be... Well, it's going to be forced into a more turtle-ish lineup, and perhaps their only hope would be a Divine Rapier on the Gyrocopter. VirtusPro has come to the point where they can actually take a Roshan if they want to. They've got the Medallion on the Alchemist. Perhaps NEXT.kz can make something happen. They need something to go really right for them, and then they are back in this game. But if they can't make that happen, then it will go worse and worse and worse. On the upside, there's only 1 tower down so far, so even though VirtusPro is getting ahead, NEXT.kz is just, I mean, in terms of map control, not that far behind, so they still have the space to take some of the farm here, as apparently with this smoke, they're not really sure about where they're gonna go, and in the meantime, on the top lane, Mantis is gonna be the one to get a stun, a frostbite, and everything else on his head, and Illidan just teleporting in to get himself the last hit. I mean, he didn't even do anything else but teleporting in one last hit. Got the kill with that. The tower gets denied. Tower down nonetheless, so that's a bit less space for VirtusPro perhaps to farm, and it does put the towers back to even, but NEXT.kz could really use that gold. And they could also use the Gyrocopter living, actually. That's really how the game's been going for NEXT.kz. You know, just 3 heroes, TP reaction in from the Luna, grab the kill, deny tower, GG. You know, tower's gone now, and the farm continues to go for Illidan because he's got this nice ancient camp to be stacked here. He's going to take the farm. This is going to be like 3,000 gold in the bank for him. He can go for BKB, even start his Butterfly. I think BKB is probably the right choice here. Yeah. And again, you're up against Doom, so maybe not, but I guess the Timbersaw could also do a lot of damage to you. So, I mean, you generally see BKB first for the Luna. Illidan can do something crazy if you'd like, but it looks like there's Waterfalcon not in the best position. Unstable's going to get charged, and unfortunately Jadam's going to stun himself, but, you know, they just don't have any real control over this game right now. NEXT.kz is just playing from behind, and they'll have to continue to play from behind, and unless Gyrocopter can get some farms somewhere, somehow, they're going to be in a rough patch for pretty much the rest of this game, unless they can get some big team fights, which is going to be tough. Yep, Waterfalcon might be in some trouble here. Yeah. Oh my god, that was a Rubik that was still on full health, by the way.
Oh yeah.
He was standing just next to the target that was actually getting targeted, and he just got caught in the crossfire and just dropped. That was the first death that the Rubik has, by the way, so that's You know, the fact that he lived so long, that's actually quite impressive, but that also was the last one that actually did not die yet on the side of NEXT.kz. Well, of course, VirtusPro still got a Luna that is kind of unbeatable at the moment, and she did indeed finish up her BKB. Doom in the game or not, probably the Doom is gonna get forced out on someone else anyway. No shackles, no OD with his orb attack, of course. No Alchemist with his stun. And if the Luna goes in with her BKB and her Eclipse, it's not worth to Doom her anymore, so...
Yeah.
VirtusPro looking good, NEXT.kz not so good. I mean, look at this gold graph, it's already going towards the 8k, 9k in favor of VirtusPro. Experience graph already above the 10k. Maybe NEXT.kz can give themselves an edge by taking a Roshan.
They've let this game get out of hand, though. A Roshan will not do them that much. Yes, they're going to get an Aegis, but I think that Luna's farm is now way too strong. With the BKB, it's only going to be an uphill battle from here, and more so now that Luna has her BKB. She's probably going to go for something like a Butterfly or Manta next. Either of those two items are pretty effective. Then she'll finish up her Satanic later on in the game, if necessary. Which, I mean, she will if there's going to be enough time here. Illidan will definitely do that, so... they do grab Roshan. I'm sure Reeves will either pick up the Aegis or someone else. No, it'll be Mantis, it looks like. And that's great and all, but even with Rosh, it gives you only 200 gold for each person, a little bit of experience, and, you know, you have that advantage on the dire side, so you kind of expect that to happen. And VirtusPro will let it go, but they're okay with that. They're okay with Luna farming while they take the Rosh, and you look at the net worth, and that's the reason why. There's like an 11,000 to 7,000 difference, plus the levels at 16 to 12. So Illidan is feeling very, very comfortable right now, plus his Midas is just doing so much work that he got so early on. And they've got to do a lot of smokes, they got to have a lot of just really early pickoffs before they try to fight anything. And they're going to have to get like a couple of team wipes here later on in the game to really get back into this one. They're too far behind. But, you know, they're going to start losing even more towers here as VirtusPro wants to 5-man up.
Yeah, they're looking for the tier 2, looking for also a fight. They've got the Centaur place, so in case that Doom is going to try to initiate, then they will be able to counter that. In comes a BKB Eclipse, but Illidan doesn't hit anybody apart from the Rubik. He does get picked up, but Rubik was just on the wrong side of the tree line there and gets punished for it. There was a lot of hatred for just one Rubik. The Gyrocopter still, of course, took a beating. His cooldown didn't really do that much apart from making sure that the VirtusPro maybe went a different way. And VirtusPro will still be able to take the tower, but, well, I think NEXT.kz can be happy that they didn't lose more than just a Rubik and a tower.
And that was just a smart play from Illidan. They wanted to make sure that they pushed them back with the Eclipse so that they could have room to take the tower. And, you know, the icing on the cake was killing the Rubik, obviously. They also had the OD ult ready to, you know, drop if necessary, and which would have done a ton of damage considering now he does have a Mystic Staff, so that's 25 more intelligence going his way. His Scythe of Ice is actually going to be done very soon. He just needs the Ultimate Orb plus the 875 Void Stone, which, I mean, he's pretty much got right now in about 100 gold, so he'll just probably sell a stick or something and then get to that, or he'll just wait, I'm not sure. But BKB is finally done at 22 minutes for the Gyrocopter. It's not the best timing. You have to remember he was in that off lane, so he wasn't farming nearly as effectively as someone like the Doom was, but then the Doom only has an Ogre Club and a Shadow Blade on his own, so, you know, like I keep saying, these heroes aren't finding the farm. The experience is really not there either. I mean, you know, some of the supports are only level 8 and 9. It's still pretty low, and the thing is, the top 3 cores of VirtusPro are by far and away ahead.
Yeah, it's looking grim for NEXT.kz. Now, with the Gyrocopter having his BKB, perhaps there's some more chance for them to actually get a fight going. And to be honest, I mean, if you are this far ahead as VirtusPro is right now, and I mostly mean in terms of levels, and of course also having a couple of killing streaks and such, if NEXT.kz wins themselves one big team fight, they're gonna get so much out of it that I would think that maybe with that one fight they would be back on even footing with VirtusPro. But they need to find that perfect scenario where they are the ones that control everything. They're gonna catch people out of position, and VirtusPro is just like, they have to kind of throw for that fight to happen and to go NEXT.kz's way. I mean, there's some people out there that do believe that VirtusPro should be called VirtusThrow, but in this game they're just looking real solid.
Yeah, it would take a monumental collapse from the throw. I mean, they'd have to doom the Illidan before, you know, he can get his BKB off.
Yeah.
But then you have to deal with, you know, G dropping the Sandy's Eclipse, the Scythe of Ice. So even if you doom one person, you still have to deal with others.
Something
obviously
big
they can
has
catch
to
one
be
hero out of
solid.
position.
Rubik
Yeah,
has
that
to do a
too.
shackle shot and get a double shackle. Because that's what they're lacking right now, the disable. Because as you mentioned, I mean, even if you doom up Illidan, you'll still be able to right click. And, I mean, you need to do something. You only got one telekinesis, and one of the flaws of Rubik is that he has a disable, but only one every 22 seconds. Perhaps they can go for something now, though. Mantis just going for the... Well, for the shot. There comes the cooldown. Up on 3. It's already Reeves that's dead, though, and Mantis, he can't do anything either. He'll lose his Aegis. That's only 2 people left alive. Well, that was a complete massacre. No clear focus fire coming out from Mantis, and he'll get picked up as well. Triple kill for Illidan with equal the last one alive, and he'll get picked up as well. There we go. That's Ownage called 5 for 0. I mean, Flak Cannon and Gyro walked in there first. And
Yeah.
that wasn't the fight that they were hoping for. That's a victory. Sanity's Eclipse coming out right there because the GGs are called NEXT.kz. The next chance they have is to take a victory up on V today, but I'm not sure if that's going to be an easier opponent. Though if they played like they did yesterday, then they might be an easier opponent. Burn!
Well,
I did.
got him.
Yep.
Anyways, that was NEXT.kz. I admire their play right there because they just said, okay, let's try to take a fight, and if we can't do it, let's just GG out. And you know, they tried their best, but they knew that was like the last scenario. They had gotten an okay initiation, but like you mentioned, they needed something to steal that was big, and they just didn't get it. Shackle Shot was there at the end from Light of Heaven, but I mean, he was on point all game. Pretty much everyone from VirtusPro was on point, other than like them getting first blooded. I don't think any of them really had any issues in the early game. That's just a sound draft that they planned out going exactly as they wanted it to. NEXT.kz, they didn't really have any sort of like idea of where the draft was headed after the early stages of the game. After they got a couple first bloods, they didn't know what they were going to do, or not, but a couple kills in the early game. They didn't know what they wanted to do with those heroes, with the Gyro, with the Doom. They were severely underleveled. They never picked up Midases. They never really accelerated their farm. As a Tipper saw against an OD mid, which is a bad matchup altogether. So, you know, NEXT.kz, you got to admire their passion and their play, but their draft was not there. And VirtusPro is an outstanding team with outstanding players, and then you put a good draft like that together, and they know what they want to do, and all of a sudden it becomes very easy for them to take that game up against a team that's performed very well. So, you know, congrats to VirtusPro on that one.
Yep, I fully agree. VirtusPro is also a team that we're going to see up against Na'Vi in a moment's time. But first, it's going to be NEXT.kz versus Na'Vi, and then VirtusPro versus Na'Vi. So VirtusPro get themselves a bit of a break. And NEXT.kz, I'm hoping that they can recuperate and go in with a positive attitude to their next match, which will start in about 15 minutes time. So we have got ourselves a short break before the second game of today starts. But of course, we'll be right back here with more Dota 2. Of course, once again, you are watching StarLadder.